What is up, folks? Justin Phillip here from Dog Times Productions, and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at some reference photos from two different narrative projects that I was hired as the director of photography. I'm going to show you guys how I use these reference photos as a launching pad to get to the final image. This is almost like a continuation of kind of an ongoing journey that I've been doing with part of this channel. If you haven't seen any of those previous videos, I'd recommend you go check them out. I'm gonna drop a few links down in the description below. Just a quick recap of that. So basically, every time I get hired for a narrative project, meaning not run and gun, meaning it's a scripted thing, I always reach out to the directors and say, hey, do you have any screen grabs from movies or TV shows that you've been watching, or maybe even pictures that you yourself have taken, or even just random Google image searches, anything you can send me to help me get an idea of the overall tone and look that you're after. Now, when we talk about these reference photos, we're not just trying to make carbon copies of those reference photos, right? We're not like looking at these and going, okay, I gotta make this exact image, this is exactly, that's not really what it's about. It's more about just getting inspiration and more of a launching pad. Because here's the deal, guys. I can sit down with directors and producers and they can talk my ear off for all day long, and if I don't see any like visual images, it's going to be harder for me to grasp what they're after, right? So to help me get closer to the directors and producers' brains and their mindset of what they're going after as their final look, for me, I'm a visual person and I just need pictures. I need some kind of images. And that helps me find the overall tone, color temperatures, and that way I can figure out what fixtures that I already own can help me get the image that they're after and what kind of tools I can use. So today we're going to be looking at two different projects. The first one was more of a dark comedy limited series, and the other one is was a horror film. Okay, so for this first project, the director sent me these two photos. This one is from the first season of True Detective, and then this one is from the first season of American Vandal. So let's start with the True Detective picture. I've just took it upon myself to decide that this image was an 8:1 contrast lighting ratio. Now, I've already done videos on lighting contrast ratios, so if you don't know what that is or what that means, or you have a hard time comprehending it, I've done a video on that, and I'll also put a link to that down in the description below. But for this particular image, I just decided this is an 8:1, which means that the fill light is 3 full stops under our key light. Now here's the thing, guys. I am probably wrong about that, but who cares? We're not, like I said, we're not trying to make exact copies of this. It's just inspiration. At the end of the day, what I know, the image that I want to create is an 8:1 lighting contrast ratio. Referring back to the image here, you can see where I tried my best to try to break this down. Now, I'm not a professional gaffer. I'm not a well-seasoned professional cinematographer by any means. This is all just my journey up the mountain, right? And I'm taking you guys along with me, right? Here I've just decided, okay, we're just looking at this, and to me it looks like we can just look at this picture and what can we figure out just by first glance? Well, we can see the light, what's going on with it. If you notice on his forehead here, he has some light here. He has a pretty good 50-50 split right down his face. And we also, if you look here at this Lone Star can, there's some stuff going on with that as well. There's light hitting the left side of the can, but this can right here pretty much mimics his face, to where there's a 50-50 split not only on his face but also on this Lone Star can. So we can figure out right away that I would guess there's probably a lot of negative fill going on this side, and there's probably a side lighting source coming on that's kind of creating that 50-50 split, this kind of Rembrandt look almost. Have some light going on in the back here, some kind of backlight, and I'm assuming that the backlights are one stop under the key, and then we have some kind of side toppy light, maybe, I don't know, because there's a pretty big light here hitting the top of his forehead. So that's just kind of the way that I broke that image down, just trying to dissect that. Here's the thing, no one's gonna know exactly for sure what went on unless you actually were there that day on the set. Again, it doesn't matter. It's just all just kind of helping us figure out with the fixtures that we own what we can do. And then the second image here, this one's from American Vandal, and this one's pretty interesting and pretty straightforward and simple. The main thing that I'm looking at here is the backlight. This was the main inspiration the director conveyed to me. What's going on in the background here is kind of what we want. Now, the colors of this is pretty similar to the colors that we had on the day of the set. I tend to not want to shoot into walls with the talent so close to the walls. I also really, a pet peeve of mine is white blank walls. I hate that. That is one of the downsides of filming in LA when so many low budget indie filmmakers just rent Airbnbs. And the problem with that is now we just have white blank boring walls everywhere, and it just really brings the production value down about your project. With this particular scenario though, they rented an office for the office location, so it was cool. So we did some location scouting on the day and went to different offices, and this one that we found had a really interesting textured wall and also had a really interesting color. It helped us line up to this reference photo that we had from American Vandal. And you'll notice like this is a pretty popular thing, like backlighting the wall. There's some YouTubers out there that do that as well, where they just light the back wall, and it's good. I've done it as well on my YouTube channel where I'm up against the wall here. A backlight like that really helps bring the subject out and helps you create more of a 3D image rather than just a flat image. So the nice backlight kicker lights like that really make the talent pop out. Based on that, now I took those two images, dissected them pretty much just how I did here, and I said, okay, so that is inspiration as my springboard. This was a screen grab of what I came up with. Now I did this all with 2 lighting fixtures and 1 little tool known as negative fill. So let's look at some BTS here. Here you'll see this was my main key light, the Diva 4-bank. I only had tungsten bulbs for that particular fixture, so I put a full CTB gel along the outside of it to get a more cooler temperature light. There's my rig, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, and we were using the Sigma 18-35, but I did put a quarter black Pro Mist filter on that to kind of dull the image down a little bit, not make it so crisp and sharp that the Sigma art is known for. And again, you see me there utilizing the Dinkum shade to help cut down any toppy flares that are coming in from that Diva, because it was kind of just right over here above camera. And here you'll see the most ghetto of the operation. This little miniature aperture LED panel was crab clamped to the chair that the talent was sitting in, and I put a full stop of diffusion on that and dimmed that light all the way down. Shot that up at the back wall. It actually had 2 stops of diffusion because I put the hard diffusion on it that light comes with, and then also a gel full stop of diffusion. So it's a couple stops of diffusion down and dimmed it all the way down, just so we had a little bit of light hitting up on that back wall. And then of course you'll see here this big 3x5 black flag that I put up on a C-stand just immediately off camera left. And this is what we came up with. Okay, so for this next one, this was more of a run and gun style thing. We didn't have as much time to properly light everything, but the director did send me these images. These are from A Quiet Place. Just by going off of these, I know, okay, this is tungsten lighting here. This was for the horror film, which was a lot of darkness, and there were a lot of scenes where we were in the dark a lot. Based on just these couple images from A Quiet Place, these are the images that I came up with. We were in a bar location in Hollywood, but we were really having to work very, very fast, very, very quickly. I was very limited on assistance. And here's the thing too, we were filming this bar during the day. So you can notice there are some light leaks coming in. I did my best at flagging off some of the windows along the side, but I couldn't, I just didn't have the resources to completely flag every little light source that was going on outside of the bar windows here. A good thing about this is that we can always darken it up in post. Now this image that you're looking at right here, this is not a completely fully color graded thing. I imagine we will darken this up even more. This was just a very fast primary color grade that I put on this. Again, this was shot with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. The lens on this was broken on Cine lenses for this project. This was just, I'm pretty much working just off of the ambience light, the room tone light of this room, of whatever was coming in through the windows. But I did have my Diva 2-bank, which is salt and peppered. It's cool and warm. It has both daylight and tungsten bulbs in it. And I had it, so the shot here is me kind of going this way, shooting at the gentleman there at the bar. My Diva is way, 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 way over here. So I'm shooting like this, and the light is way over here, shooting like this. So here's me and here's the light, and then we have all the backlight that is just supplied to us through the ambience of the bar and a couple of those little tiny windows, and just kind of created that image, and it kind of turned out pretty nice. I kind of really liked it, and then, like I said, we'll probably darken that up more as the post-process continues. This project hasn't even been close to being edited yet. And now for another image, we were in a residence, one of the actors' homes. This is just a very interesting kind of setup here. This, again, we were moving very, very quickly. We had a lot to cover within 2 days. And so in here, I just did what I could. I used the Diva 4-bank. and it's way back in the deep, pushed way back here, directly behind the talent, and pushed all the way out of frame, and just kind of splashing along the back of the wall. I did put the softbox on there. What do they call that? The diaper? It's like the thing that comes with the Divas. It's like a big diffusion that just bungee cords around the light and makes it more of a softbox style. So it was being diffused down and just kind of spread around and just splashed over. And then I took full advantage of these candles, these candle lights that were lit here on the shelf. And like I said, this has not been really color graded yet. It's just had a primary color grade, just really very quickly. I've just been playing with the colors. This is probably not the ultimate look that we're gonna go with, but this is just a little bit of me playing around in DaVinci, just messing with the colors and things. Again, that's just me. That's just how I've gotten those images, just working off of reference photos. So reference photos are great, guys. I always suggest you to go for that. Sometimes you may get directors that'll be like, isn't that your job? You figure it out. And that's great. That's great. Then it's open balls to the wall, right? But I have never, a couple years that I've been doing this, I've never had a director say that to me. They've just always just immediately, it's almost like they already had it. They either email it to me or text it to me almost immediately. Or they just tell me like, hey, yeah, you've seen this movie? Yeah, I want it like that. And that's enough for me. That's enough for me. I think for me, it really works well. Like I said, I'm a visual guy and that's what I do. So I hope that was beneficial to you guys out there. Let me know down in the comments below how you guys prepare for your narrative projects, especially if you're well seasoned and been doing this for longer than me. I would love to hear some tips from you guys. For now, that's a wrap. We're just on the journey together, you know, like that's me, like that's all this channel is, you know. It's not your tube, it's my tube, man. So if you're not into it, just say la vie, man. Yeah, we'll see you later. I always do that. I always say la vie and it doesn't mean anything. I had someone say that down in the comments one time, like, you know, that means that's life. Doesn't mean goodbye, it means that's life. I don't know. I like the way, I like to do things wrong. I like it when they say, come on, man, it's not rocket surgery. Or when they say, one of my favorites is, yeah, don't worry, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. I love saying weird things like that. To me, it's hilarious. And that's all we're doing, man. We're climbing up the mountain. You know, it's like we're going up the mountain, but we'll never get to the top. But when we do get to the top, there's a castle up there. And that's a castle that we will never be allowed inside of, right? Like, it's heavily guarded. They're like, and then we got to run around to the back, and there'll be a big fence. And we're like, oh, God, how are we going to? And then you try to get over the fence. And then once you get over the fence, then there's a moat. And you're like, oh, fuck. You know, but then there's a whole nother little party going on outside. Those are all the people that can't get into the castle. We'll probably maybe eventually get to that party within like 10 years, but we'll never get inside the castle. There's some really awesome people in there, and we're just not allowed inside that castle. But if you want to continue on the journey, at least along up to the castle, then hit that bell and we can do this. We can do it. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, then that's your own fault. Yeah, there's a lot of metaphors going on here, so good luck with that.